All right. Well, it's better to talk after victory than after a defeat. But want to give our guys credit. We've been trying to improve in some areas and make progress, and I think our guys worked really hard this week to try to make better some things that we obviously need to improve. There's still plenty of meat on the bone, as you guys all know. But I loved our effort. I loved our attitude. I loved our toughness and our competitive spirit to try to finish the game. We had opportunities in all three phases to really make some impactful plays there down the stretch. And ultimately, I think the offense did a good job of salting it away on that long drive. And, we kind of had the mindset we wanted this to be a physical game and leaned on Josh and a running game a little bit more than what we have and really established that, I thought. And, our goal was to try to make it that kind of game and make it a fourth quarter game where we had our play count up and we were trying to wear down the defense. And again, credit goes to our guys. I thought they played really hard. And again, no turnovers, only 4 penalties. I think, when you don't beat yourself, you give yourself an opportunity to win. So proud of our group.
Josh, you talked about complimentary football, and you got a lot of that today from all phases. But you've talked a lot about being your best when your best is required. And that drive after they cut it to 2, I think it was.
Yep.
You needed a touchdown. You needed points, without a doubt. Is that kind of what you're trying to stress?
Yeah, and we had been there before, in the Arizona game, where we had a lead late in the game, and you have a choice there offensively. You can go out there and try, not to screw the game up, and usually you give it back to them. And then put all the pressure and stress on your defense. Or you can, maintain your aggressive nature and try to go out there and move the ball and score and win the game, And I thought the guys had a great mentality on the sideline. They knew that that's what we were going to attempt to do if Denver went down and scored. And after they scored, we, went back out there and I thought had the right mindset to go down there and put more points on the board and try to finish the game offensively the way it needs to be finished.
Josh, I know ideally you don't want Derek running, but today he was able to take off in some situations, keep drives alive. Would you talk about how impressed you were with that today?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about now the way we've been being played. Sometimes, when they try to double cover certain players offensively, he becomes the sixth skill player. And there's just nobody with a set of eyeballs on him. Other than the 4 guys that are all trying to rush, but we're blocking them. So he took advantage of some opportunities, I thought, very timely. I don't know how many of them were on third down, Hunter, but, it had to be a couple or 2 or 3 of them where he made the right decision. There was a lot of space, and he did it, and I thought he made a good run there at the end of the second quarter in the 2-minute drive, too, to get us down there into field goal range. But he's a good athlete, and as much as you don't want him to run, I think more importantly, you don't want him to take a bunch of unnecessary hits, and I don't think he did that today. I thought running was good. He didn't get, hit at the end, which I think is the goal.
Josh, Max Crosby had a really good game today, 2 sacks. It seemed like he really keyed the defense there in the second half with that start that they had. How big was that to helping you all take control of the game?
He's worked so hard in every phase. His leadership has been great, his effort, his presence, and then obviously his play. And so those these are the situations where your back's against the wall a little bit, and you want to try to come out here and give your best effort and try to get your first W. And I thought Max had a great attitude all week long, and then it carried over today. And thought he made some big stops in the running game. He ran some plays down from behind, and then obviously he got some pressure on the quarterback and got him to the ground a couple of times. So that's Max. It doesn't surprise me that he plays like that with that kind of that energy and effort, and he made some really critical plays for us.
Josh, obviously coming into this season, you would have wanted to have your first win before week 4. You just talked about having a lot more meat on the bone. Just for you personally, with this first win coming against that group on the other side, does this win feel a little bit more poetic for you in any sense?
I don't believe so. I have said this over and over again. I don't look at them with any ill will. They gave me a great opportunity at a young age, and if anything, I look at it like it was a blessing because I learned so much from it, and that made me better. And I've been forever grateful to Mr. Bolin for what he gave me an opportunity to do. And unfortunately, I didn't do well enough with it, but I hopefully I've learned from it. But again, I don't look at that team with any kind of an ill will, other than the fact that they're a division opponent, and we don't like any of those guys. So, that's the sweet part for us. Is I don't want to make this about me. This is just our team trying to, hold our home turf here against another division opponent.
Josh, you get a couple of defensive players back today that help you out, and you could see the impact Denzel Perryman was having right away, and then he goes down with a concussion. How's he doing, and what's the prognosis?
Yeah, I don't know anything about the prognosis. I just saw him, so he's got a big smile on his face and very happy about the outcome of the game. But I thought he was really making an impact in the game. You could see his speed and his aggressiveness certainly was showing up play after play. Hopefully, if he's in the protocol, then obviously we'll go through those, important steps here to make sure that he's good to go before he returns.
Josh, it seems like you're whittling it down on the offensive line. Number one, do you feel pretty good about the group that you had out there today? And then secondly, that playing into Josh's day and the type of day that he had.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you run the ball for over 200 yards, it's obviously never just one guy's responsibility. So, look, I think that group is really fighting. They're getting better. It was good to have Andre back out there. He's obviously a calming influence, played a lot of football for us. So, I think we're making progress. We're heading in the right direction relative to trying to get to the point where we don't have to do as much of that. We'll continue to stress the competition, though. I think that's made them all better.
What have you liked about the way that Josh is running the ball, and is he earning more carries the way based on so far this year?
He's one of the best runners that I've ever been around, and again, take that for what it's worth. I've been around some good ones, and he has a great ability to make yards after contact. He has a great ability to make yards. Even if there's not a whole lot there right away, he bounces the ball. And sometimes as a coach, when a guy bounces the ball, you say, no. But usually his turn out okay, makes good decisions, and he's taking care of the football, And so obviously that's an important part of this. They were trying to strip at it and punch at it tonight. They do a great job of creating fumbles. We talked about that all week. I was really proud of our team that we didn't have any on the ground. And obviously JJ, with as much as he touched it, he did a good job.
Josh, the defense got put out there, short fields a couple times, and was able to stand up to, especially with the fumble recovery for the touchdown. Just what was the key for them to be able to sort of keep you in that during that stretch? Yeah,
they, we tried the onside kick and had a great chance, I thought, to have an opportunity to get it, and then they had the other short field there too. And, we talk about, defense goes out there and plays defense regardless of the circumstances, so sometimes you get put on a little bit of a shorter field, to worry about things you can't control, like why you got there, doesn't really do you much good at that point. So I thought our guys did a great job of buckling their chin straps and going out there and just continue to compete and play. And their job, that's what their job is. We don't ever send them out there to allow points. We send them out there every single time to try to stop the other team, and I thought they had the right mindset on those short fields today.
Josh, 2 straight games where Matt Collins makes a pretty spectacular play on special teams. Fought through a block, a double team, to go get that ball. Where does that come from?
He's just that kind of person. And, it doesn't surprise us when we see him do that. He does it in practice. And that's a great example of practice execution becoming game reality. He did it in the practice week this week, and he works at that. So does AJ. I thought it was a great punt, and Max fighting through. I mean, they always try to harass him, more than anybody else because of his history and how good he is. And there he is again, down there making a huge play, and putting our defense in great field position.
Josh, seemed like a switch flipped for Amik when Jerry Jeudy kind of said he's kind of too short, and then right after that he gets the fumble recovery and takes off. How poetic was that to see him? Because it seemed, again, like a switch flipped in him just as a tackler.
This is a competitive guy now. I mean, you guys have been around him some, so Amik's a football player, and so any challenge that Amik gets, he kind of rises to the occasion. And I think just from his stature, he's always kind of had it against him that maybe he's to this, to that. Meek's tough, Meek's fast. Meek, he'll hit you. He had a couple big hits today. So I thought he really rose up and tried to play his best football after that. And then being able to, I thought he was going to go down about 2 or 3 different times after he got the ball out on the fumble. I mean, he did a great job of running with the ball. So, no, he's a tough guy. Really happy we have him on our team and plays a lot of different roles. And he's growing and getting better.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Good to go. Thank you.
Hey.
Appreciate you. Yes, sir. You got it, buddy. Yeah, appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Jack? Okay.
All right.
Derek, I just asked Josh about your running, keeping drives alive today. Clearly, he doesn't want you. That's not part of the game plan, but when you needed to, you did. It kept drives alive. Would you talk about that part of your game today, please?
Yeah, absolutely. It was something that we used to emphasize. Grew. You would always tell me run for 2 a game. And just challenging me and all that kind of stuff. 2 first downs a game is what he would say. And so now with the way that we're playing, if they want to double everybody, which we've been talking about, I take it upon my shoulders and find a lane and go, and just to make it hard for people. And so it's definitely something I'm conscious about. It's definitely something I'm trying to do, and get as many yards as I can. To put that pressure on the defenses, because I think ultimately it'll help Devontae. I think it'll help Darren. It'll help Hunter when he's back. Help our skill guys. To get some normal coverages. But until then, if people want to keep doing it, then I have to be able to try and do that the best that I can.
You got 5 of them today.
5 of them. That's got to be a career high.
It is.
Yeah, that's got to be a career high.
It definitely is. So,
yep.
But just with Josh's running today, what did you see out of him? He sort of looked like the Josh Jacobs from his rookie year when he was sort of healthy and making those big plays. What did you see out of him? And was there something different today that made that work?
If I'm honest, I've seen it this year. At the end of last year and this year, I kept telling him I said, it was just, I forget what game it was, but I was like, man, you keep doing that, bro. That's special. And he did it last year, and he was doing it this year. The games, some of them, just the way that the flow had been, we just couldn't keep, doing that, and in certain areas. But I'm just so proud of him because he works extremely hard, and he has a great smile on his face every day. And, for him, I think it was a career high for him also, which is huge. If teams want to play, help on Devontae and things like that, then Josh and myself whenever I can. But that running game will only help. In our offensive line, give them credit for opening those holes, and the fullbacks, tight ends. Some of those impacts that I saw when I would turn around were unbelievable. But some of the cuts Josh made today, I think there was one a little zone run to the left, and he stopped and he spun and he went back up through it. I said that's different. He hit it and he knew that there was a hole there, so he spun back into it and had a huge run and had an acceleration out of it, which was special.
What was the mindset this week? They're a pretty good defense. You guys kind of went right at them a little bit on offense.
They're really good defense. That's one of the better groups I've played in my 9 years. It's tough. They make everything difficult. Any plays that we made, if you look at it from their perspective, they're that close also from making a play. So they make it very hard to do anything right. And so I was, the mindset, this week for us was really accountability. Really holding each other accountable to the standard as a whole that we expect as leaders, and a leader to take and tell me like, hey, come on now, or I can tell him, hey, let's go, and that there's no hierarchy. There's none of that. We're just all right here, and we're all trying to do the same thing. We're going to hold each other to this standard. And I thought we had our best week of practice. I thought we had our best week of preparation. Guys staying extra, staying after, getting there early, whatever it may be, to make sure they were on their assignments. I thought that was our best week of that. So ultimately it led to a win. Doesn't promise it, but it shows us that it's a recipe that works.
Was part of that kind of stressing to be physical? You guys seem like a very physical team today, more so than past previous weeks.
Yeah, I think, especially with the way that, Josh wanted to take the ball to start, and, we were able to run the ball, and, the run game is what's going to help everything, and if we can run the ball and do those things, and it's gonna make Tay's life easier. It's gonna make it won't make it too easy because they're still finding ways to do different things, and we're seeing new coverages invented every week, for him, and it's special, but it allows us to, for that physicality part, it was emphasis to be physical and be able to run the ball the way we did. Really helped win this game for us.
As much as Josh downplayed getting his first win with the Raiders against his former team, granted it was over a decade ago.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. What in the locker room? What is the feeling for him in terms of just now Josh can exhale because he's finally got the first win with this team?
Yeah. Well, I think for him, he's trying to preach the right things. He's trying to teach us how to do it and the way that he's seen success, right? And I think now it validates. Some of the things he emphasized, and I would let him talk about what he emphasized, but the things he emphasized in the game like we did it in practice, and then we did it in the game, and we won. And so I think it validates, like, to the whole room, like, guys, we got this formula, and I got, this kind of thing, and each week, and if we know the keys to victory and we do them in practice, we're going to do them in the game, and it'll help us win. And so I think it validates it for him. I didn't even think about it being against his former team, but I gave him the ball at the end. I kept it for him, and I said, I know you got a lot of wins at the other place, but it's your first one here. So I was able to do that, and that was a special moment for me to be able to hand that to him. And I've done it for all the coaches that have been here when it was their first one, so I thought it'd be right to do it for him.
Derek, you guys were able to, even with him double-teamed all day, get the ball to Devontae today. How important is it, even when he's double-teamed, to create those opportunities to get the ball in his hands?
I mean, there's some throws today that just of the timing of a certain play, like usually the ball needs to be out there doubling, but I would like pump fake or look and just try and hit him in the next window, and that takes the offensive line doing their part. For me to be able to play the game that freely, that takes them doing their part, because it's going to help us. It's going to help him get the football in one of our best players' hands. But there's a couple times where they decided to single him up, and he was able to get the ball. And when they tried to double him a couple times in different kind of ways with certain cover, I mean, one play they had 3 guys accounting for him, and he still caught the football. And that's credit to the offensive line, allowing me to do certain things with my eyes, and that's credit to Josh, trusting us and, putting certain plays in and just coming up with schemes in different ways to make it happen. And then it just, if guys want to, think up, different plays and things like that, hey, we saw this work before. I've seen them when they would double Darren or double Hunter. I've seen this work before, and all that kind of stuff. I think he takes the input, and, he sees what's best for our scheme and our team, and he puts them in. And so it's good.
During the 0-3 start, there wasn't any murmuring, backbiting, complaining. Guys were mad at themselves, but took responsibility. What's that say about the character of this team to go through it like that and then fight back and get a win and get back on the right track?
I'm just proud of our team because we took it as men, like when you're a husband, when you're a dad, when you're a football player, whatever it is, you got to take responsibility for your actions. And I was really proud of our guys all 3 weeks that, like, sure, there was one play at the end that may have done this or one play here that did that, but everyone was like, forget that, man, I got 6 things to clean up. It's on me, And our whole team was doing that, and that's just a recipe for a good culture in the locker room. There's no pointing fingers or anything like that. And we responded well and finally got our first win. That feels good.
Derek, you guys got the ball back after they scored to cut it to 2, and you guys get the ball back. What's the mindset offensively? Because you guys were in that situation a little bit against Arizona, didn't get it done. What was the mindset going into that drive, and how gratifying was it to be able to finish it the right way?
It was awesome. Josh called us up, and he reminded us. He said to the offense and defense, like in a team meeting, he told us, like, you should want the burden to finish the game, and not hoping that someone else does their thing or they fix the problem, whatever. Just like, hey, whatever the game asks for, if it's our turn, do our job. And so the fact that he talked about it, he called us up beforehand to remind us, and then when we went out there, we were able to go get points. Like that feels good. And I know it feels good for Josh because that's what he was preaching to us. And so I was just happy. I guarantee when we turn on, you're going to see 11 guys all doing their job, and doing it the right way. And that's only going to help us going forward if we can keep that mindset. 2
things. Josh has talked about being at your best when your best is required. And I would imagine that kind of a drive sort of is what he's talking about right there. There's 2 ways you could go on there. You could be aggressive or you could be sort of careful in that situation. As a player, what do you want to be in that situation?
To me, it's always easier to be aggressive, because if you're aggressive, from the play standpoint, like he is, and that's how he's always been. Like, it helps us as players because if it's not there, I can make it conservative. You know what I'm saying? There was one later in the game, he calls a play and they covered it. Man, I go check it down to Josh. We didn't hit it, but that's the mindset. That's him and I working together and the team working together. And so our job as offense is to score points. And so whatever that calls for, that's just kind of the mindset we're trying to keep. Just when we get the ball, go score.
Lastly, do you remember what your 40 time was at the scouting combine? You kind of put it into gear today.
Yeah. They said I looked faster than I used to today, and I said that's good because I'm 31. So I think it was laser 4.69, hand time like 4.59. That's what I say. But it showed up today. But that's just something that if they want to double everybody, I'm going to have to do that, to help the team.
Yeah, you've been around Amik for a while. What's going through your mind when you see Judy make the too short gesture and you kind of make some plays afterwards?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you watch any kind of, it's funny. I'm dating myself now. This is my 9th year. I'm 31 years old, and so anything you see on Instagram that's 7-on-7, everyone's making fun of somebody every time they make it one catch and one play and all this kind of stuff. And Judy's a heck of a player and all that kind of stuff. But that's just the world we live in now. But there's still a lot of football to play, and I think one thing that you're seeing at the professional level is when that stuff happens, we're still professionals. There's still a lot of game to play, and Amik kept doing his job and just kept competing. And I've always loved him. He's a guy that we say is always constantly trending upward. We always say that about him, just his personality. And so to see him make plays, how hard he works, for him to go out there. I mean, he made some really good tackles, some big tackles that usually those are catch and 3 more, and he was catching, no more, and that's huge for the down and distance and all that different kind of game at that point. So he did some good fighting off some blocks on some bubble screens and making tackles, and I could tell it made him mad, when he did it. And he's like, all right, we're going to keep playing. So it was good to see him compete that way, especially with all the injuries we got going on in the secondary. But I was happy for him because he's such a good kid.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, good to see y'all.